We have the remarkable privilege of that we came to the city of Rehovot Noah. Even though I'm not sure that it has the full name Rehovot Noah, of Rehovot Sochoponim is העניין, אם without Naha, Rehovot is good. Well, Rehovot is the העניין von Archova. And Archova, in the way that's brought down over there in Pasha Toilets, Porinu Vo'oretz, Ki ato hirchiv lono, Havayu Porinu Lo'oretz. And the Ramban learns over there that that's referring to the Beis Hamikdash Ashlishi. So we have to say that Beis mocking, Beis, just the fact that we came to Rehovot, but that means we're already somehow or another on the etiquette on the train to Rehovot Mityas, Beis Hamikdash Ashlishi. So Mordechai made his house available for the B'Simcha B'Tuv Levov for the Farbrengen, and he's asked me to mention that the Farbrengen is also Lekwad Ila Nishmas, his father, Nochem Yaakov, Leib, Oliver Shodlam, who was nifter on Tes Zayin Tamuz. And so we all bear in mind, and we all miyakir the fact that the whole Farbrengen is L'schusei or L'iloi Nishmosei. When Yankiv, Nochem Yankiv, Leib, and his neshama shouldn't have it should have an aliyah, but it should have a yerida gamkein, because aliyahs have been plenty, over all the generations. Yes, we have to have the yerida, the mata, that they should all come back neshamas begufim. Praise Hashem, taking me out. And if we're already talking about mentioning good occasions, Abba informs me that he had a baby Einiko this morning, and Hashem, Zol Zayin, Aribu Simchas, even Shol Simchas Oilo, praise Hashem.
I had one last week.
So listen, I want to, since we're all sitting in Rehovot Noah, and it's all a special occasion, and this is probably going up on some sort of a recording. So I'd like to, as it were, go out of my kelim a bit. And that is that I won't mention his name Beregazer, but everybody knows him. He's been approaching me about certain inyonim over the email and by phone and by other inyonim. So I want to try and answer a question that really bothered me or bothers him or bothers the world, or Eichweis was. And Yehurotzen Imrei Pi Lifnei Hashem Tzuri V'Goyali. So this is, you pay careful attention here. And that is that the world has Shaila. I don't know if the world does. You know the famous quip of the Yeshiva Bochum that sometimes you find in the Marshur, either on the Gemara or on Tezos, that the Marshur writes, Makshim Ha'olam. The world has the kasha. So the Rebbe once brought down, also it's well known, Makshim Ha'olam, who's asking the kasha, It's, the world is asking this kasha. It's a kasha hidden in the small oases at the back of the Gemara. Whoever gets there, So what sort of who's asking the kasha? So the answer is that if two yeshiva bochur are misamik in their learning, and they come with that particular kasha, that's the whole world. That's the oilam. And they ask the kasha. And the whole world has the kasha. Das ist die ganze Welt. Sehr colorful. But maybe in this particular case. Who? That the Rebbe spoke a lot about the Gula Shleima. And the Rebbe spoke about the Indian von Chaim Nitzchim. Was in Emerson, יש להרי בזה המועד, אבל אין כאן כוח וזמן. להרי, there's a machlokes, it would appear between the Rambam and the Ramban in this whole Inyan. Even though the Rebbe, it would appear, the final opinion of the Rebbe is that in the Geras Tchias Amazim and the Geras Taimon, from the Rambam, it's much maybe different than what it would appear in the Hilchos Tshuva and other places, also in his Pirush Shalom Mishnayos. But however, the Ramban writes clearly in Bora that the Osid Love, it's going to be Neshomas Begufim after Tchias Amazim. It's ein Neshomas Begufim. And the Ramban writes that it would appear that his shitta is that lav davke v'tchias amazim ele be'izashu shlav and Yemois HaMashiach is already in even neshamas begufim chaim nitzchim ad la'ad, and it's a pashtus ha'inyanim. As the Rebbe, in many of his sichas hakodesh, the Rebbe says clearly that our generation is the last generation of the Golas and the first generation of the Geula. B'li hefsek, we're already going over into Chaim Nitzchim. And the Rebbe emphasized this on numerous occasions. So people, who are, just ordinary, I don't know if that's a good thing, but Balabatish, people of Balabatish say, they come along and say that L'chera, there's not a great deal left of that generation, number one, and number two, quite a lot of people have passed away, it would appear, and they didn't go yet into Chaim Nitzchim. So was it, how does that fit? Was it a pshat? So what I'm going to say now is near Lanias Dati, and it's not love talking for your book, but it's just for the record. I mean, there's a record here. And that is, we have to realize that certain people change the whole Seder V'Shtalsheles and the whole Yakum, including Kol HaIlamas Ruchniim, Ad LeTzimtzum HaRishon V'Gam Koilu Gam Zeh. For example, let's take Avraham Avinu. Yeah, Avraham Avinu came into a world that had already been a lot of tzaddikim. There had already been a person like Mesusela, Noach had already been. There were a lot of very big people who had been in the world and everything. But Avraham Avinu, after and even during Avraham Avinu, the whole Seder Ishtoshel and the ganze Bria and the whole Yikum altered, changed. And therefore, what was before Avraham Avinu and what was after him is another story altogether. I feel he was before Matan Tov. And therefore, in Perek Yud Ches, that the Alter Rebbe says that he was Goyim, that after him, Ad Sof Kol Ha'olam, all the neshamas which will be Mizarei, they'll all be Mi'asa Sfiras, the Kedusha, and that's the inyan from the Jewish people, and that's the inyan from the Neshamas Yisrael, and that's the whole inyan from Perek Yud Ches and Perek Yud Tes. All of that came about due to Avraham. And the whole, I can't say the souls was holding everything, altered. And after that, it's not the same creation anymore. Pirush Adova, that the Eibishter Kaviyoho has to run and carry out the things the way Avraham Avinu said. Yeah, and that's one of the Havonas in the whole inyan of always saying, hey, Merkava, that is like a vehicle for giving over Elikus in the way that it goes through their Merkava. It goes through, it becomes a inyan for Me'ain. And therefore it's written in Tanya about Yaakov Avinu, that he's like the, and it's written, the Gemara says in Masechta Megillah, it's a Gemara, that Vayikra Loi Keil Elokei Yisrael, and that's referring to Yaakov Avinu. Rashi brings that pshat. Rashi says, Ani Loi Bosi Ela Lefarish, Pshuti Shomikra. So who told you to bring it? Melachatchila. Why did you have to bring that? And then write that you only came to teach Pshuti Shomikra. Don't say anything from the beginning. Elamai. That's what Rashi means. Ani lo basi, ela lefarish, pshuti shomikra. That's pshuti shomikra. That's a chilik, pshuti shomikra. Amamela kumtais that Yaakov Avinu, he became the marker for all the neshamas after that. Everything goes through. The way Yaakov Avinu said, that's the way it goes. Now on, the whole world runs in a different way. Of a completely different. And then we meet up with Yosef Atzadik. Yosef Atzadik is gorgeous. The whole world just changed. And even to this day, Noye Katzoin Yosef, the koya that we have to live through this whole crazy goddess. And everything is all the koya from Yosef Atzadik. And the Reb Marash writes in a Maimah, it's Mamash Mafurish Maimah, Domani, and this is in Tov Reish Kov Tez or Tov Reish Kov Zion, maybe. And the Rebbe Marash writes that if it hadn't been for the fact of Yosef Atzadik, Yidden wouldn't have had the koyah to go out into the desert. They wouldn't have had the koyah to be makabel the Torah, I feel. This wasn't Shivan B'koyah. Or Yosef Atzadik, and that's why Moshe Rabbeinu had to take Yosef Avinu's atzma, his atzomet. Because atzomas is loshen atzmas. That the atzmas from Yosef Atzadik had to be, and they, wherever the Yidden drayed, in the midbar, Yosef Atzadik drayed around with them. He was with them everywhere, because he was there in this box. I don't know what was going on in there, but that's what happened. If it hadn't been for Yosef Atzadik, there wouldn't have been Matan Torah, there wouldn't have been. And Noye Katzoyin Yosef, the reason why we hold out today, and all the Meshugana, Nisyonas, It's all in the Koyach HaYosef HaTzadik. In other words, that he changed the whole world. The way Yosef HaTzadik says, that's the way the world works. Even it may not be Nika, La'ena Istama, of the observer, or if you look carefully, and Ba'im HaKeina does it a pshat. V'kach ze bo'od, Moshe Rabbeinu, once Moshe Rabbeinu came into the world, the whole world just changed. The ganze Nismaleya Habayis Kuli Oira, the whole world just lit up. And Moshe Rabbeinu, and all when you're from Purim, it all, everything. Yeah, it all begins with the Koyach from Moshe Rabbeinu. Ik kom over in the famous Sikha, the Gela Zayan Odo. Of America come to us that every now and then, Kaviocho, you have somebody in the world after him, and even Bashas, he's there, and orders and changes, and it runs according to his inyonim and his instructions. Aber Pashtas, I keep shutazai. And the Arizal, I mean, the Arizal changed everything. Ada Yom people would not dare be choilach if there's some hint that the Arizal, that's it. I feel a benigla. The Mogan Avram writes in several places, Isa B'Ksovim, that's it. That's the way it's written. As I say, Ksovim means a kiss for Arizal. Void. And he was only a young man, the Arizal. Rachmani Nitlan left the world when he was 38 years old. Rachmani Nitlan. And there was a plague, with epidemic, with a ganze Meise. We see that whatever he said, it changed the ganze Seder, the ganze Seder Ha'olamas, and the whole kesher between Rakus and the Nivroim, everything altered. But the Arizal, Al-Kol Ishtaneh. The Baal Shem Tov, Ada Yom Haseh, the whole world is mistoiver around the Baal Shem Tov. And the way he said certain things, that's the way the Eibishter, that's the way the world now functions. And EF shall not B'chazara. But it does it, the Baal Shem Tov, what does it gehalten, that's the way it is. And the whole Seder, and the ganze Oifen, when Gilei Elikus changed it, folded. Let's not sort of carry on too long with all sorts of hoichoches, variety. Domanish is a Dover Hamu, and the Korachad, Sherak Mesamik, and Kach is and the Alter Rebbe, like we just said before, the whole Seder, everything changed completely after the Alter Rebbe. The whole Seder, Limod HaTorah, Oifen HaTorah, and the whole from Gilei Elikus in the world. And like the Alter Rebbe said, that after the Gilei of Chassidus that he brought into the world, they have to make a new Gan Eden, the famous statement there. That from now on, the Gan Eden's not enough. After what he's been megalit, the whole Manaya Gan Eden. See, nobody's particularly excited about it. But the whole Manaya Gan Eden. So the Alter Rebbe didn't say any jokes. He said it in a way that was like a milsa. The bedichusa keilo, aber beim Zalukah, say you das gewonnen. Kach that the Gan Eden had to change. It says a whole new Isgalas. Al Peter Sachsela. But Kach Bekola. Aber Mela, I want to try and introduce a certain idea, and that is that there's a Sikha from the Rebbe. The interesting thing is that not a tremendous number of people know about this Sikha. I'm surprised to notice it. Over Al Chaponim, it's in Chelik Kov Daled, Dvorim, I think it is. I think it's Chelik Kov Daled. Because Kov is already braces again, I think. It's Pasha Kiseitse. And so what's written over there? It's written over there that when the Arizal came to Tzvas, then the Ramak, the Rabbeinu Moshe Kodavira, he was still alive. And the Arizal met him, and the Arizal gesagt that he sees in him like he's Rebbe, even though they didn't agree on certain points. About Chaponim, he said he had tremendous regards, the Arizal for the Ramak. And so the Ramak passed away shortly after the Arizal arrived to settle in Tzfat. And so he was at the Levaya. The Arizal went to the Ramak's Levaya. And when they were taking the Ramak into the Beis HaChaim, all of a sudden the Arizal said, you see what's happening, you know. And they had some suffix as to where should they put him there or another few hundred yards further or something. There's some like Bilbo as to what was actually Mokum Furose that had been fixed by the Chevra Kadisha. So the Arizal said, but you see, it's clearly indicated for you. So they said, how is it clearly indicated? He said, there's a Omud Aish, you don't see the Omud Aish, and the Omud Aish is showing that that's the place where you have to bury him. So everybody said, Omud Aish, you know. So the real said, what's with you guys? You know, you don't see it. Yeah. And there's this Omud Aish, Mafsik, Bein Noel Kule Oman. And so it's written that that's only Chad B'Torah is not the expression. It's one in, as the old expression in English, 1 in a million. So everybody's eyes jumped out of their heads for two reasons. First of all, they woke up who the Ramak was. And secondly, is they realized who the Arizal was. So they said to the Arizal, would you like to say a eulogy, you know, what it could, a hesped, divrei, you know, eulogy at the burial. So the Arizal said, okay, he will say, yeah. So you know what he said? You've all heard about it, it's famous. It's written in Pasha Kiseitse, it's written that if a person is chayav skila, then he, after the skila, he has to be hung up on a tree. Right. So it's written in the pasuk, "V'chiyeh le'ish mishpat moves, v'soliso say al eight." Then you have to hang him up on a tree. So you know what the Arizal said? He said, "Kiyeh la'ish mishpat moves." There are certain people, what nobody knows, why they got that mishpat, because they're not charged to that. They are legami beyond the whole union of Misa, and it's not charged that they should pass away. No, it doesn't make any sense. Elamai, what is the answer? The answer is v'solis, or he say al eitz. You have to make it. Solis means depend, to depend also. The toli hobo. Yeah, so he said dependent on the eitz. Because of the chet eitz hataz. the gezerah falls on everybody that something has to happen because of the chet eitzadah. You follow? That's what the reason said. That was the whole unity. A few sentences. That was what that's what the reason said about the Raman. So, comes along the Rebbe over there, and the Rebbe says that, you know, the Arizal didn't just mix words, you know, he didn't, how do you say, he wasn't just a darshan, how do we say, was he? He wasn't just a darshan, he didn't say droshes. No, but then, if he said something, then he meant it, 1,000%. Azim Kain, what he meant to say was, there was no reason why the Ramak should pass away. It doesn't make any sense. Aim is a kol mokim. Yeah. No, but then, Salis Oisel, yeah, only because of the AIDS. Yeah. So, the Rebbe said, L'chora, that's what's written in the Gemara. So everybody says, Velcha Gemara, you know, what Gemara? So the Gemara on Baba Basra, near the end of the first parak, Mama's at the end of the first parak, says there were 4 people, and then it mentions several other people as well. There are 4 people that they only passed away, Be'etyoi Shal Nochash. That they passed away only because of the eights of the Nochash. They didn't need to pass away, and they shouldn't have passed away. The whole reason they passed away was Be'etyoi Shel Nochash. Oh, you're getting tired. Yeah, the whole reason passed away is Be'etyoi Shel Nochash. So the Rebbe said, why didn't the Arizal say that? Why did he change from the Lashon of the Gemara? And he said, Vasoliso, he say, Al eight. It's almost like a tight, you know, it's like a vertal, you know, it was. What is he doing, being Mashana from the Gemara? So you know what the Rebbe says over there? The Rebbe says the reason is because if you say that somebody passed away, Be'etyoi Shal Nochash, the Nochash is a very unpleasant creature. He's not our guy, the Nochash. Avamira Etyoi means like he's Eita, something to do with him. Yeah? Which means that there must have been some little trace of impurity in them, but it just wasn't noticeable for Cloud. Of some little trace of an impurity, you know, a Nochash. Etyoi Shal Nochash was there. And therefore the Gemara says that for all intents and purposes, they were perfect. Oh, but they passed away. Bet Yosef. Shaya, what are you doing around there? People are gathering around you. Come and sit down.
I have to get back to my communion.
I mean, what's the point of it all? Everybody gets up one side.
He's a chiyuv, and he's a chiyuv, and he still needs a minyan.
No. He's a chiyuv. Achoponim. He wants to make a minyan. As Achoponim, says the Rebbe, the Arizal was mechadish a whole new inyan. And he said that there are certain people, what they don't have to do, even with the Etyol Shal Nochash, they have only to do because there's a eight. And the Rebbe said, eight is a beautiful thing, nothing wrong with the eight. The whole problem was that they ate from the eight in a way that messed things up. Of the eight itself, there's nothing wrong with it, a beautiful thing, an eight. Nochash is a bad thing, V'eta. Avamela said the Rebbe, I'm just talking into the wall here, but anyway, we'll go ahead. Avamela, at least this is listening. Avamela comes to us that the whole Indian the Ramak is nothing to do with Yet Yil Shel Nochash. It's only got to do with There's an eight. And something happened with the eight, but it's got nothing to do with him. Sure. And that's what the Rizal was Machades in this little eulogy. That's a whole new thing we call a doiros. Machades Azaza. Oh, well. You know what the Rebbe says there? So the Rebbe said that the Arizal Stam just didn't talk. He stamped what he. Elamai, he was manchil, the kola